Welcome to Living a Nutritious Life. I'm Keri Glassman, a celebrity registered dietitian nutritionist. Join me every Tuesday on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms as I bring in some heavy hitters to share the latest in nutrition and wellness science. We dive deep into food, sleep, stress, relationships, and so much more. Your weekly guide to a happier, healthier, more nutritious life. Are you the friend who's always being asked for health advice? Now imagine turning that passion into a fulfilling career with our Become a Nutrition Coach program. Step into a world where your enthusiasm for wellness becomes the heart of your own thriving business. With me as your professor and guide and coach on our user-friendly digital platform, you can learn from anywhere at your very own pace. It's perfect for your busy life. Envision empowering others to live their healthiest lives, all while growing a career you love. You're not just gaining a certification here, you're joining a community of like-minded professionals ready to support and celebrate with you every step of the way. So what are you waiting for? It's time to nourish your future and help change lives, including your own. Head over to nutritiouslife.com/BNC for a free class and a sneak peek of the program. Your journey to becoming a nutrition coach begins now. Today is a super special episode because it is with my dear friend and on the launch of her new book. Welcome back. I'm Keri Glassman, your host of Living a Nutritious Life. And for today's episode, I sat down with the one and only Andrea Rogers. Andrea is a wellness entrepreneur, motivational coach, celebrity trainer, best-selling author, and creator of groundbreaking fitness sensation Xtend, a creative combo of traditional Pilates methods, ballet, and cardio. Anyway, Andrea has been featured in Vogue, Bazaar, Elle. She's been all over your TV. You've probably seen her. She's a popular thought leader in health and movement communities all over the world. She's a youth skincare advocate, and her online workouts have been viewed by millions and millions of people, millions of times. She's also an incredible mother and friend, and today we dove into the real story behind her journey. She looks perfect, but she's had a whole lot of ups and downs. She's weathered personal and professional storms, and she's weathered them using simple science-backed daily habits. And it was these habits that were the inspiration for her new book, Small Moves, Big Life, which we're going to talk about because it is out now. If you're feeling stuck or you're just kind of getting by in life and not thriving like you'd like to, you need to listen in today and go buy her book. So let's do this. Here's Andrea, and don't forget to rate, review, and share if you love the podcast. Oh, hello, my gorgeous friend. I am so excited to have you here today. So I love doing this podcast, but I especially love when I have one of my dear friends on the podcast who I get to just hang out with, but also I get to share your amazing gifts with the world. So Andrea Rogers, my gorgeous, amazing, fabulous, brilliant friend. How are you?
I love you. I'm doing great. I'm so happy today. I have all these back-to-back podcasts, and when I saw your name, I'm like, oh, I get to be with Keri. It's so nice.
Warming up here, warming up the day here.
Yes,
It's great. I love it. Okay, so I want to dive right in here.
Let's do it.
This is such an exciting time for you. Your book is launching today. I have it right here. Small Moves, Big Life. So we're going to start right there with sharing that with everyone. But we're going to dive deeper into this. I want to start though. I had to start with that, but now I want to start with you have a really interesting business entrepreneur journey.
Right.
I want to start with what's your short bio? Like, what's your bio? Like, what is what people see if they look up who you are? Like, what does that say? And then I want to go behind the bio. So give me what do people probably, if they look you up, what do they hear? What do they see?
Yes, I think bio is fitness and wellness entrepreneur, right? So they know me for creating a company called Xtend Barre, which is a combination of dance and Pilates. And I started that business as a license model, which then grew to a franchise model, which then reversed after COVID from a brick and mortar to a digital offering. And that's kind of where I'm at now. And now I'm segueing into more personal career projects, including authoring my first book.
Okay, so people know you as this incredible, like you said, founder of Xtend Barre, this fitness guru, and so you built that whole career. But again, I want to now go kind of, you touched on it. You just mentioned the licensing and the franchising. So I want to dive into that journey a little bit, because
Yeah.
there are a lot of health and wellness professionals that listen to this podcast. And I think it's always inspiring to hear like those real stories and the highs and the lows. And you and I have obviously shared.
We've been through it all together, you and
I've
I.
really been through it all
We
together.
really have.
And we've had many, there's been a lot of parallels that we've had.
Very much so.
And then obviously a lot of part of our journey that was also different, but a lot of things that we've shared, and some really, really high highs and some really extremely low lows. So again, that's why I kind of wanted to ask you, like the bio, they see this gorgeous, fit, together, mom, founder, Xtend Barre, franchises all over the world, traveling the world. Like that's what people see. Like that's like, like I said, that's
the smoke and mirrors.
that's the, well, by the way though, but it's not smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, some of it's true.
But it's true. It is true.
But it's not all glamorous.
There's an and. It's
There's
true.
an
It's just
and.
there's an and.
There's
It's
an
not.
and.
It's not. I don't think that's smoke and mirrors when you did all that, and that
Yeah.
is you. There's just also this whole other side. So
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
I want to get into a little bit more. I want to get into the, behind that bio, behind all of those things that we see on the surface level. Tell us a little bit more about the journey of building your business, going from a license model to a franchise model, to then a digital model, to now shifting again, but also share along there some of those personal highs and lows, because and the reason I'm asking all this is because I know, again, I guess being your friend, I know that a lot, that is really where this book came from. Like this is how this book was birthed.
Correct.
From not just those business highs and lows, but the personal highs and lows that went along with it.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important for people to know that, because I do think, and this is a compliment to you, when people see you, they would never know that, because you do keep it together. And I also, I know I just asked you a question and now I'm going on, but I want to share this about you. I think that, you're one of those people that you're always look so together and fabulous. You're always so incredibly fit. You're always radiating positivity and, and you're just positive and smiling and sharing, and your beautiful life with your girls. And I know all of that is true. It's not like you just, use the expression smoke and mirrors. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's all true. I think sometimes people don't even understand though, that there is also that and that we just referred to.
That's a good way of saying it. I guess
all of this stuff behind it. It's not,
I guess smoke and mirrors isn't the right term. It's just more or less of, I've always tried to be very honest that it hasn't been just this linear journey upwards the entire time. And what you see, it's not that I hide the hard parts of my life. I certainly don't. It's all in this book. But I'm someone that also keeps things very personal to me or to my close little network. Like I'm not someone that's going to go on social media and talk about my breakup. Like it's just not who I am, but I have used these challenges in my life, in my career. I've used those as opportunities for personal growth and professional growth. And I was always wired to be a positive person. Like I've had that question a lot through doing all the PR for the book. And people ask like, is that something that's just innate, or do you have to shift that mindset? And my mom always said, like, you were born confident. Like you just came out of the womb confident. I've had to make sure I controlled that confidence, and kept you humble. And so I've always just had this knowing that I was meant to live a big life. And I always knew that I was going to have to work hard to get there. I didn't think anything would be given to me, but I was ready from a very young age to work hard. I was the girl at the dance competition who showed up an hour before we had to be there so I could be the first in the front, in that spot, stretching, prepared, and ready to go. I was just, no one told me to do that. I just did it. That's just who I have been my whole life. So when I came upon some very challenging times in my life, first I had a moment of like, what the, how am I here? Like, I've done everything right. Like, how is this happening to me? And it seemed like everything started to happen at once. Both my marriage was imploding, my business was imploding, and everything was spiraling. And I had to lean into, okay, Andrea, like, this is just a chapter. This is a season. You're going to get through it. And I had to lean into strategies and practices and a routine that kept my mind where it needed to be, because I at times could barely like stand up because it was just so overwhelming, everything happening at once. And so a lot of these practices from the book were, as you mentioned, born out of just a personal need to find my way, to find my grounding, to feel like I could have a foundation of strength underneath me, to make these small little moves I needed to make, to have this incremental growth, and to crawl out of the deepest, darkest times that I had. And it hasn't always been, like you said, this, we've been through it, and it's beautiful. Anyone who's listening, when you're building a business and you're so passionate about it, like Keri and I are, it's important to have a friend like Keri, or someone you can talk to have like a real, as we always say, shoot the shit conversation, to talk about the highs and the lows, because especially when you're building a small business and you wear a lot of hats and you're running the show and you're trying to do everything and you're trying to grow, and mistakes are made, but the intention is pure and strong. And you learn along the way. And sometimes you just feel like a complete failure. Sometimes you feel like you're on top of the world. Like, it just ebbs and flows so drastically as an entrepreneur of a small business. And I think you just have to lean into those practices like we have, right? And I leaned into them so deeply that they became my safeguard. They became my, my compass, if you will. And that's how this book developed, because I used these for years to crawl out of the hole. And I used some other strategies that weren't born from that. And they're the things that when, I sit down with my girlfriend and I'm talking and she's saying, hey, I'm in this funk, what do I do? These are the strategies. This is what I'm telling her, So finally, after sharing this for years and doing it for years, and then doing the research behind it and the science behind it to make sure everything was not just, oh, well, this just works for me. I decided, let's put this in writing. Let's make this a book, because I felt like it has changed so many lives, including mine. And I knew the power that these small little habits have, that I was like, I want women everywhere to kind of have this as a toolkit and a guide.
Amazing. So
and Keri's in the book, by the way. Keri's in the book. Keri's a big part of the book. So you'll hear some stories from her.
So something you said that I want to just touch on. You said how like your mom said you came out of the womb confident, and I love that, first of all, and I can see that, because I feel like I didn't know you when you were a little baby, but like I feel like I could just see you being, this like 5 or 6 year old little girl running around with her tutu, dancing, like jumping off the couches and performing for people and smiling and, putting out all this like good energy into the world, even at that age. I can totally see it. But I want people to, I think there's two parts to that. Like, one, like you were just born like that. But I think like for people that think like, that's not me, I wasn't born that way.
Yep.
I want them to know though, it's like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, you were born that way. So maybe it was a little more natural, but then you had people reinforcing that. You then reinforced that. You saw the feedback you got from being that way. And then that reinforced itself. And then again, you had your parents telling you certain things about that. Like, it was reinforced. And so then it's like, that's who you are. So even when you hit that low, you're like, how did I get here? But then again, you're like, but I know that I can get out of this because I know how to do these different things, because you had but I guess the reason I want to touch on that is because if you think to yourself, well, I wasn't born that way, you can, and it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, we don't need to get into neuroplasticity here, but it's like you can rewire your brain
absolutely.
to do that. So if you're
I've had
thinking,
friends that have used these strategies to actually completely transform their lives, whether it was a significant weight loss or complete change in career or relationships. Like this, you are not stuck, and you don't need a massive overhaul in your life to change your life. Like that's the whole premise of this book, right? Is that exactly what you just said?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, because I do think sometimes, oh, well, that was just how you were. But it's like you were like that. But had you not gotten positive reinforcement, had you not had parents like telling you that's how you are, like you could have rewired your brain in a negative way.
Correct.
You just continued on that positive pathway. And so even when you hit these tough times, it still helped you. So I really want people to know that it doesn't matter if you're, and I think there's even I feel like I just saw even some new research that even in your 80s, you can rewire your brain.
Isn't that
you can always rewire your brain. You
just have to want it, and you have to actually
want it.
Yeah,
you have to do it. You have to put in the time and effort to rewire your brain, but you can do that. So even if you weren't born like that, even if you haven't been, your brain hasn't been firing in a certain way your whole life, or maybe it was, and then something happened, there was a traumatic event and you shifted. And knocked you off the path. Like you can rewire yourself. And again, this book is such a great place to start doing that. One of the things, I love so many things about the book, but one of the things I love about it is that I think you even say it right in the beginning of the book. I think it's right in the beginning of the book. You say, you don't have to go on a 7-day retreat. You don't have to do whatever else you say. You don't have to do this dramatic thing in order to shift your life, go from stuck to unstuck. Because I do think that people think like, oh, life is busy and this and that. I've got all these things going on. I don't have time to take care of myself. I don't have time to make these shifts. But that's what I love. It's what about the book is it's so realistic. It's like, again, you don't have to wait till that perfect time to take 3 months out of your life, or to go on a 7-day retreat in Bali, or to whatever. You can start right here, right now, today. So you can go order your book right now, but you can still start today, because you're going to give us some of those tips, but you can start immediately. So
you don't have to you don't have to overhaul everything. And when I was writing this, the actual title and the subtitle, the 7 daily practices to supercharge your energy, productivity, and happiness. And then I wanted to put in just minutes a day, because what I don't want people thinking is, oh, sheesh, Andrea, are you nuts? Like, I'm not adding 7 more things to my day. Like, I could not add 1 more thing to my day. But what you will see is these 7 practices do not require you to do tremendous amount of heavy lifting. It is simple. It is science-backed. They are effective, and they take minutes a day, and they become second nature. You don't even have to think. Like when I woke up this morning, I've already done 3 of them. It took me minutes, and I don't even think about it. I wake up, I'm doing my breath work, I'm doing my stretching, I'm doing my do the thing. Like it's done, and I've set the tone for my day, and I'm rolling. Like I'm in it. And that's because I have this foundation, and I've given myself a strong base. Otherwise, I'm just you know what, Keri? I was at a football game last week with my daughters, and a parent asked another parent, how's it going? Like from the bleachers, like yelled it,
Yeah.
And the parent went, oh, I'm maintaining.
Yeah.
and everybody giggled, and I was like, ooh, this is a nugget right here, because we all giggled because you can relate, right? Like maintaining, not like, I'm good. It was like, he was really honest, like I'm maintaining. And so I think, we are constantly maintaining, and we're constantly getting through the day instead of feeling like we're owning our day. And not every day you're going to own. Okay. So realistic, but if you zoom out, you should be having more good, thriving, owning days than just maintaining days. And these strategies are built in so that they can weave into your daily life seamlessly. Like it just will flow, and they'll be your go-to. And you mentioned something earlier that, it's like you want to have these tools so that when things go wrong, you're already equipped to be able to respond. It's, they're going to keep you feeling great, but then they're going to serve you when you really need it the most.
100%. You can't it's such a really important point, because you don't have to be in this terrible, let's say,
state of crisis.
Stuff or exactly. Or a crisis to then dive in and read this book. When you should do it, it's like, you should do this actually if you are in crisis, absolutely. But if you're not, and things are going well, you should still do it so that you
Absolutely.
can not just be doing well, but you can really be thriving, and you have those tools for when life isn't as rosy.
Exactly.
It's such a good
Exactly.
point. And that's actually often the time we are in the right mental place to work on ourselves, is actually sometimes when things are good. Sometimes
True.
you got to hit rock bottom, but sometimes that in between, maybe you're not rock
Very
bottom,
true.
but you're not like really thriving, and you're kind of just like that person said, maintaining. That's often when you don't, go and do those things to make a shift. And that's really when you should start to, when you got to start doing
Spot
it.
on. Spot
So,
on.
but that's so funny, the maintaining, because I have definitely been in those time periods of life when people are like, how are you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm breathing.
I'm
breathing.
doing.
Breathing. I'm here.
Yes. But I think a lot of us, if you actually honestly had a conversation with your friends, I think most women these days feel that way because we are
Totally.
in hustle culture. We are being told like we're constantly not doing enough. We're constantly not living up to our own expectations, society's expectations. It's like, you got to wake up earlier. You got to hustle harder. You got to add another hat, put on another hat to do the thing. Say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, to the point where then burnout becomes daily. Burnout becomes every day. And you don't even realize we're living in constant burnout. We don't remember if we took the pill. We don't remember if we did this, did that, like, because we're just constantly overwhelmed with trying to do it all. And Small Moves Big Life flips that script and says, you don't win by doing more. You don't win by adding another thing to your to-do list. You win by doing less, but with more intention. So there's more of a thought behind what you're doing. There's more strategy behind what you're doing. And you feel like you're in control, not just being run by your day.
Yeah, you have to. Exactly. So I was just having a conversation with my son about that. He's 22, so he's in that stage of,
I was just thinking about, you got your kids this morning.
Figuring out life. And I was like, you have to make life happen. You don't just wait and let life happen to you. I mean, it's
that is
so simple,
good.
So simple, but it's like so many of us do operate from a place of life happening to us. And we're just responding. And I love that your book really helps you set yourself up to run your life versus life running you. It's just,
I hope college girls, I really hope a lot of college, when I wrote this book, I'm like, I want this to be for the girl who's going to college and the mom who's dropping her off. Like,
I love that.
That's what I want.
You wrote it for me. You wrote it for me, Andrea.
Honestly, yes, I did.
I'm going to send it to Maisie.
I was just thinking of that actually this morning, right before we popped on. I'm like, I got to get her a book. Yes, it really is. I want these tools to be something that young women are starting to hear and learn from a very early age before they jump into the whole mix of career and life and family and all the things that get thrown at them. And I want the woman who just dropped off her daughter, who is probably at a different stage and who is at a different stage in her life, different challenges, different circumstances, but still needs that type of reminder of that foundation that we need to set. So yes.
I love it. And that's also, obviously, it's so good for those college age girls and younger girls too, to see the moms putting these things into practice. Even if we think they're not watching, even if they're not watching,
they're taking some nuggets. You bet.
They're taking some of it. Okay. So I want to ask you about your dance career. It was a big, big, big part of your childhood and life, and then ultimately led into Xtend Barre. How do you think your dancing career, how do you think that shaped how you mother, how you are as an entrepreneur? Like, how do you think that shaped you? Because I always know, like, I always think about it. Like, I actually I spoke at Tufts, where I went to school a couple of weeks ago, and I spoke to junior and senior female athletes. And it was all about like how sports can really play a role in their lives, not just when they're athletes, but in their careers, in their personal lives as they go forward and enter the real world. So I feel like your dance career probably played a huge significant role. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you think that most impacts your life now and who you are.
Have you ever looked at a skincare product and thought, I wonder if this is actually going to work? I mean, I think we've all done that, right? With OneSkin, I never wonder if it's going to work because I have real proof. Their whole company is led by scientists with backgrounds in tissue engineering, stem cell biology, and skin regeneration. And their products are backed by rigorous lab and clinical studies. The OS1 body is definitely helping my crepey skin, and I'm obsessed with the tinted OS1 base SPF. It feels like butter going on, and it feels so good knowing that it's moisturizing my skin and protecting it all at the same time. I just love it. At the heart of their topical supplements is their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient scientifically proven to reverse skin's biological age by targeting cellular senescence. Those are those zombie cells that make your skin age faster than it needs to. Think about that crepey skin that we all want to get rid of. The research on their OS1 peptide has been published in peer-reviewed journals such as NPJ Aging. And not only that, the data for OS1 and their products clearly are listed on their website, so you can learn all about that and the incredible science behind all of their products. In lab studies, they've measured a 130% increase in collagen production with their OS1 eye cream. And another study showed that their SPF neutralizes free radicals. Those are those bad guy compounds that I always talk about, 4 times more effectively than other so-called anti-aging sunscreens. The proof is in the numbers, friends. Try OneSkin and see for yourself. And you can get 15% off your first order with the code Keri, that's Keri, at oneskin.co/Keri. That's oneskin.co/Keri.
I love that you did that, by the way. You gotta send me a video of that. And it's very true. I feel like dance is part of my DNA, and that part of my life, I would never be where I'm at or who I am without it. It gave me not only confidence, but it gave me structure. You know, I was dancing 5-6 days a week. I was a straight A honor roll student, you know, most of my life, going in all the way in through college. I learned how to balance things.
Yeah.
I learned how to just, you know, get things done on the fly. I also learned a lot of independence. You know, I look back at my years as a dancer, and I went to a small dance studio in Michigan. I didn't go to the best dance studio in Michigan, the one where all the best dancers went. I went to a smaller studio, and I happened to be one of the more talented dancers at that studio. So I had the opportunity to travel with my dance instructor, who's the owner of the studio, who saw talent in me and saw opportunity. And she would take me to all of these different conventions and competitions. And I would travel with her over the summer to New York City. That's where I first fell in love with New York City, and all these different places. And I would go, she was the adult, I was the, 11, 12. And I would have to go to this big convention where everybody was there with their huge, big group of dance studio members, right? And I did that too with my studio, but I did these one-off trips with her quite often. And she would just drop me off. Okay, have a good day. I'll see you at 5. And I would have to go into this room, 11 or 12, and just be by myself and figure it out, right? Dance and find the schedule and try to find someone to sit and have lunch with. And it taught me how to talk to people and how to go, hi, I'm Andrea, and how are you? And from a very young age, feel uncomfortable, but put myself in that situation and just get to know people. And so those type of things, along with the balance, along with owning your posture, your confidence, your breath, and all the physical things that go with it. Dance, every time I meet a dancer, Keri, I know, like I can say, like they're typically do very well in life. And they typically have their act together. Not always, but for the most part. And they normally are really great students, and they're just able to find that balance. It's very interesting. But yes, dance gave me that foundation. And it also, taught me lessons when I didn't get roles that I auditioned for, and I wasn't fit for the role. It wasn't it wasn't for me, and had to learn how to deal with those type of, no's in life. I mean, I credit dance for so much of the success that I have in my life right now.
I love all of that. And I so feel that, because I think, being an athlete my whole life growing up and then playing sports in college, like I really can relate to so much of that. Okay. So why this book now? Like why? I mean, there's so much good stuff in here. And obviously it's, the 7 daily practices. And I want to touch on some of them. We're not going to give you all of them. You got to go buy the book for that. But I want to touch on some of them. But before we get into some of those daily practices, Why now? Why the book now? Like why did you birth it now?
Yes. Well, it's been years of birthing. I started with this during COVID, honestly, is when I first started to reach out to my friend Eric Averbaum. He's an amazing author and entrepreneur. And I reached out to him. I'm like, listen, I feel like I have these things that I want to share, and I want to get this out to as many women as possible. And I think I want to do it in the form of a book. And it really takes people in your life believing in you who are smarter than you, or well-connected and hero and champion you along. And Eric has been one of those people in my life. And he was like, I've got a great agent and I think you've got a great story. And he made an introduction to a very big introduction. And that introduction went well. And I got, booked with the agent. And then it took forever to get a deal. Like it took forever to write the proposal. And we didn't like it. We had to do it again and scrap. And then we pitched it. And guess what? Nobody wanted the first round. Like it was a no.
It happened.
No. And I'm like, oh my God. So then I went back to the drawing board and recrafted and redrafted and reproposed. And then I got multiple deals, and then it happened. And then it took, over a year to write the book. So this has been years in the making. Yeah. And it came to be because of exactly as I mentioned. I started putting these principles into action with my friends, my clients, my members. I then turned it into a workshop on retreats. And then I was like, I need to write a book. I want this to be something on the bedside where people are folding the pages and highlighting it and going, oh, you know what? I'm feeling like I'm falling off the wagon. I'm going to pick up my book and read that one chapter again that resonated. And that just that go-to that kind of helps be a compass and a support tool and like a best friend that's having a glass of wine with you, that's giving you honest feedback.
I love it so much. So good. And I'm glad you just brought up that whole point about like that you got no's, you got those rejections from publishers, because again, people just see, oh, Andrea, beautiful fit Andrea with that perfect life. It has a book now. Like they don't see that. They just see the beautiful, pretty book cover.
Read the book and you'll get the goods. You'll see all of it.
They don't see all that. So it's so important for people to know this, because
absolutely.
It's just, I just think it's so important. And especially, like I said, we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast, and there are so many lows along the way.
Lows. I mean, it took me 10 years to get a deal with Beachbody. 10 years of no joke. 10 years of me, the first time I contacted them to the time I signed my contract. So, and I didn't give up. I didn't stop because I knew it was meant for me. So but after 10 years, people would be like, you're nuts to keep going. No, I just had it in my, I knew it. So I've had a lot of no's. I've had a lot of lows. I've had to sell watches and bags and purses at some point. I've had, which you'll read about in the book, but it has not been all highs. But I've always kept, first of all, it is all perspective too, because even at the end of the day, on my worst day, I have an incredible family. I have a roof over my head. I know I have an incredible support system. Like I have it good. I have it so good. On my worst day, I had it so good. And I kept that in perspective. Always, I've kept that in perspective, no matter what. Like even when I'm down and crying on the bathroom floor, I still have these little voices in my head that are like, you got a great life, girl. Like this is a moment, but like, I'm really grateful for what I have.
Well, that's another really important point. It's like, even on your worst days, and even in those terrible moments and times when, like you said, you're selling those bags and you're crying on the floor, like, and again, like I'm right there with you. I mean, again, some of my really big lows, they've been really low. You can always find something to be really grateful for. There's always something, and you have to find it, and you have to write it down, say it to yourself 100 times, whatever it is, but focus on it. But you do, because those are the things that get you through those really tough times. So let's talk about, actually, I was going to ask to go into a couple of the daily practices, some of your favorites. I know, well, they're probably all your favorites, but I want to ask you about a couple. But before that, actually, one more thing from the book, and just a story that I know about you. I know there's a story that you actually shared it also on our recent masterclass that you did with the Nutritious Life community. You shared that story about, I think this is where you shared it, with being in the grocery store and your legs just buckling. Can you share that, tell everybody a little bit about what was going on there, and then how that has influenced one of your daily practices?
Yeah. So that is chapter 1, which is called Breathe In. And It is about how breath work became a pivotal supporting tool in my life. I was, a dancer, as you mentioned, my whole life. I used breath without even knowing the power of breath. I used it when an audition came and I was nervous. I would find my breath. I used it in Pilates. And it wasn't until later in life that when I was going through this very challenging time, and I found myself in a South Florida grocery store, and it was going through my separation, and I just really was like, holy cow, like, how am I here again? And I remember walking down the aisle of the grocery store, and interesting because, I'm a Midwestern girl and we are very friendly people, and I'm smiling at everybody, and I continued to smile at people. And when they would smile back, I remember thinking, they have no idea. Like, they have no idea. I'm holding on, like clutching the cart because I felt so weak. And it was at that time that I found this smudge spray. And I'm not a big crystal chakra kind of girl. And I love people who are. I've got a lot of friends like that, but it just isn't me. Yeah. But in that moment, Keri, I was just like, get the smudge spray, put it in the cart, like anything to help clear this negative feeling. Cause it was that like awful stomach, that feeling that you're just like, oh yeah, oh my God, you can't eat, you can't do anything. It's awful. So I got the smudge spray, I brought it home, and I remember standing in the corner. I remember I had an old historic home and the light was coming in, and I was like, I felt like an idiot, honestly. I'm like, what am I doing? And I stood there and I just started to spray and breathe. And I spray and I breathe. And it wasn't the spray, it was the breath that got me, out of that funk. And I realized, okay, I'm okay. I feel better. And that smudge spray was my lifeline. I would smudge and breathe so many times a day.
Smudge and breathe.
I mean, I'm telling you, it was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to be sick. I'm just smudge and breathe, smudge and breathe, smudge and breathe. And I would do it, I don't even know how many times a day, ridiculous amount of times a day in the beginning. And then it became less and less and less and less. And I still have the smudge spray, the same one, because I kept it because I want it as a reminder of how far I've come. And the breath really became my saving grace. It was what I went to every single time I felt like I was spiraling, every time the anxiety became too much, every time the worries just weighed me down. And I started to just notice that I could not just do it when I needed it in the moment of crisis, but I'm going to do it when I wake up in the morning to set the tone. I'm going to do it before I go to bed at night. And then I started to do a little bit more digging of like, why am I feeling so much better with breath? Like, how is this working? And really understood a little bit more of the science behind it, which I think that we have no idea that we have this unbelievable built-in tool. It's like our own therapist. It's our own regulator. It's our own app. Like, you don't need to buy an app, download it. You don't have to do anything, but just learn a few simple strategies on how to breathe. And you can do that multiple times a day. You can stimulate your vagus nerve. You can calm your body, restore your body, get out of fight or flight, and focus. And it doesn't take much. I just did, I interviewed a gentleman for an article I wrote for National Geographic, which I think comes out this week. And it was all about breath work. And he was a former Navy SEAL. He is a former Navy SEAL and FBI agent. And we talked about the power of breath. And he's a huge believer in breath work. And he this is what he does for a living now, right? He talks about mindset and breath. And it's incredible how, in a life or death situation, he was using breath. And now as a father and as a husband and an entrepreneur, how he uses his breath, and he teaches his children how to use breath, and how he had post-traumatic stress syndrome. And what really got him out of it was using his breath. And he said something very powerful, which was exactly what we just talked about. You don't use it just when you need it. You have to do the work. You have to do it every single day, so that when that moment hits that you really do need it, it's there for you.
And it's automatic. It just, to go to it.
I mean, Keri, I can't even tell you how many times a day I go right into my breath work. And sometimes I don't even realize it. I'll be on my third breath pattern. I'm like, oh, I'm doing my breath work, because it just becomes second nature now.
So good. We had on the podcast, Dr. Nawaz Habib, and he was just amazing. And he was, he's sort of the guru, all about the vagus nerve. And it was really, really a powerful episode, because again, I think that people are like, we're just, I think, scratching the surface of what we know and understand about the power of the vagus nerve. So it was really, really a great episode.
And how we can have that power
control us. Right. And we have it right there for us.
Right there. You don't need to take a pill. You don't need to I always say this, Keri, like if you had a pill and you said to someone, this pill contains everything natural. There's nothing, no side effects. But every time you take this pill and all you have to do is just put it on your tongue, you're going to feel so much better. And your your physiological response is going to be completely different after you just take this pill.
Mm-hmm.
No side effects, completely natural. You'd be like, pop the pill.
Yeah.
But if I said to you now, just focus for 2 minutes on doing some breath work, you're like, meh, breath work. What is that? That's not going to work.
Right.
You know, so that's how we're trained to think that we need like this pill to fix something. It is within us right now to be able to have that tool and utilize it.
True.
And I promise you, if you just focus on 1 or 2 that work for you, like there's a couple, I give options and examples in the book, but just find the 1 or 2 that work for you. And you just keep going, repeat every single day. You're going to feel the complete difference and transformation and how you can control your emotions and your mood and your mindset.
Oh, it's so amazing. I mean, right. And you can't, when you're breathing properly, just breathing properly. So you can't be in stress mode. Like when you're actually breathing properly, your body cannot be in stress mode. So that's why it's taking that moment, slowing down and doing that breath work. So I love that you put in all of those different ways, right? Because people need to practice breath work in different ways. Like different things work for different people.
Very different. Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the 7 daily practices. Which one is your? I know you love them all, but if you could share one with everyone right now, what would it be?
Okay, so normally
what would it be that someone can start right now?
We talked about breath. So what I would lean into. Let's talk productivity because we talked a lot about mindset. So let's shift the narrative and talk about productivity. So I do so much in my day. I get so much done in a day. I laugh. I'm like, Mom, I think I need like a Guinness Book of World Records to show how much I get done. And it's not just because I'm doing a task of, to-do task and I'm getting it all done. I'm very productive in my days and I've become that way because I've trained myself to be this way. So I would move to New York City backwards. Let's go back. 2019. I'm like, oh, I'm divorced. I'm single. Let's move to New York City as a single mom. Yay. That's a great idea. I don't know anybody. Okay, let's do it. So I moved to New York City. Everyone thought I was crazy. I moved into this tiny little apartment. Remember how tiny my first apartment was, Keri? And I was surrounded by boxes, and I was feeling so overwhelmed. Like, what the hell did I just do? And the company was.
How old were the girls? How old were the girls, by the way, at that time? Oh my gosh. Okay.
Just about to turn 5 and 7.
Yeah.
They were little babies, and I just was figuring it out. And I went to go write down something else. Like, I've got to add this to my list of things to do. And I was like, oh my God, this list is killing me. It's like a list of anxieties instead of a list of actionable, productive things. So I was like, forget this. I'm done with the list. I'm going to write 3 things only, just 3 things today. And I'm not just going to write down the first random 3 things that come to mind. I'm going to just pause. I'm going to give a little bit of thought and some intention behind what these 3 things are. And my goal was, at the end of the day, to feel a sense of accomplishment. Okay. Because I found myself every night going to bed going, oh my God, I've got all this to do and I didn't get to that. Oh my, I should have done that instead of that. Like, why did I spend time on this when I should have done that? And so I sat down. I'm like, okay, just do the thing. So I'm going to do these 3 things. It's non-negotiable. If I write it down, it gets done. No excuses. So I knew when I was writing it down, like, you better show up, Andrea, because this is on your do the thing list. So I would do the 3 things. And at the end of the day, I'm like, that felt good. I had a little like, that a girl. All right, you got it. And I did it again and again and again. And I started to see that I felt more in control. I wasn't like chasing. And
you felt good. Day. You felt accomplished great. At the end of every day.
That pride is contagious. Okay. That's what creates motivation. When you do the thing and you don't really want to do it, but you actually do it, you're like, oh, that felt good. That's the result. And then that leads to motivation, which leads to doing action. So it's like this cycle, So
I love it. I love it so much. And that I have my little sticky note formula that I feel that's like similar to what you do. I don't need to share that part now, but very similar. So I completely relate to that. But do you want to know one of my little unhinged things I do?
Unhinged. I love it. Yes, I do.
My unhinged thing I do with the do the thing is, so I write my little things on that sticky note, and I told, well, I guess I will share it now. I put it onto for everyone out there, that doesn't know this, I write down my top few things and I put it sort of on top of my list of things to do. And then I rip it up and I tear it off. So even if I don't get to anything else, like I've done those important things. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 2.
No, but that's exactly it.
That's the same sort of, it's the same sort of thing. And I just sort of put that on top of the list and then I throw that out. And it doesn't matter if I
do the thing.
Right.
Like those are the 3 priorities. And then it doesn't mean you neglect all the other responsibilities. Yeah. It's just that you prioritize.
Right. You prioritize. So if you don't get to anything else and you end up doing it, that's okay too. So this is the unhinged part.
Okay.
Sometimes when I'm working on things like that, I will cross it off the list when it hasn't been completed yet.
Oh, I like
because
that.
Then I say like it has to happen now because it's already been done. And I'm
I love that.
Like it's done. It has to actually happen. So like, especially if I'm like editing something or I'm whatever it is, like it's something that I don't want, an email that it's really like, I don't want to deal with.
That's so good.
Yeah. That's my little like,
I love that. That's a great nugget. No, I think that's just really smart because you've already committed and you mentally committed and you're not going to write another card because to write that task out again, that's not happening.
That's bad.
That's bad. That is like, that's when you feel like a failure. So I love that strategy. I'm big on setting those kind of future affirmations. I do that a lot in my life. So
we have to all play these little
Absolutely.
These little mind games that work for you, right?
You bet.
Whatever works for you.
You bet.
Okay. So we all need to go and get the book. We learned the do the thing strategy. We learned a little bit about breath work. Andrea, you are just beyond an inspiration in this life. I mean, to so many people. I actually also, I tell you this all the time, but this is totally off topic, but I just want to give you a shout out for this because you've really taught me a lot here. I love how you parent so much. Like you are such an incredible mother. You're so committed to your children. You are so present with your children. You're so in touch with who each of them is. And I just like the way you talk about them and the things you share, like when we've had these conversations, like you're just such a beautiful mother and you don't have mom guilt. And I always admire that so much about you. And you really helped me there. And I think it's such
good talks about that.
We've had so many good talks, and I know this is totally off topic, whatever, but I just felt like I had to give you a shout out for your,
I appreciate
just the most incredible mother you are. And
I feel the same about you.
I think we can all, and I think, and really, I mean, maybe we'll have to do another episode where we talk about parenting and mothering, because what you shared with me about just how, like, again, that whole guilt aspect of it, because it doesn't help your kids and it doesn't help you. And it certainly doesn't empower you in life. So again, it not that it's necessarily, again, part of these 7
I touch on that in the book though. I do talk about,
I know
about
like
mom guilt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just that we're giving to everyone else, and you do. You do. But I just, I feel like I had to throw that out there because it is something I admire so much about you. Just what an incredible mother you are on top of everything else amazing that you do on a daily basis.
That's a beautiful thing to hear. I appreciate it.
My very last question for you. What do you do to ignite your nutritious life on a daily basis? Like what is like that one thing that sets you in motion for this healthy day?
It's part of your chapter in the book. So the one thing that I do every single day is the first meal of the day, I put my phone away. So first meal of the day, I put my phone away. And I focus on sitting down. I don't care if I'm even in New York City and I'm throwing whatever I'm throwing in my mouth on the go. I'm going to have a moment where I am acknowledging what I'm eating. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to feel the satisfaction from it. I'm going to give it a little bit of thought. And then I'm also going to let my mind wander and be bored and just enjoy a little bit of non-stimulation. So that is what I do. The first meal of the day, no phone.
I am such a breakfast person, as you know, and I love how you do that. So nice. And I'd say probably breakfast is probably a meal that most people either they skip, or if they have it, they're doing 10 other things while they're having it. They're not sitting there being intentional and calm and setting themselves up the right way for the day. So that is beautiful. And it even helps with your digestion, by the way.
Exactly. Keri touches on that.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I love that so much. You're amazing. Okay. So we're going to have in the show notes where links to the book, where you can buy the book, but it is out today, October 14th, 2025.
Wow.
Which is crazy. Small moves, big life. And look how beautiful it is. I love the cover. It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
So pretty. Anyway, go buy the book. It's so much good nuggets of wisdom in there that will truly just rewire you and change your life. So congratulations on the launch. Thank you so much for being here. I love you so much.
I love you so much. Thank you for having me.
Have you ever looked at a skincare product and thought, I wonder if this is actually going to work? I mean, I think we've all done that, right? With OneSkin, I never wonder if it's going to work because I have real proof. Their whole company is led by scientists with backgrounds in tissue engineering, stem cell biology, and skin regeneration. And their products are backed by rigorous lab and clinical studies. The OS1 body is definitely helping my crepey skin, and I'm obsessed with the tinted OS1 Face SPF. It feels like butter going on, and it feels so good knowing that it's moisturizing my skin and protecting it all at the same time. I just love it. At the heart of their topical supplements is their proprietary OS1 peptide, the first ingredient scientifically proven to reverse skin's biological age by targeting cellular senescence. Those are those zombie cells that make your skin age faster than it needs to. Think about that crepey skin that we all want to get rid of. The research on their OS1 peptide has been published in peer-reviewed journals such as NPJ Aging. And not only that, the data for OS1 and their products clearly are listed on their website, so you can learn all about that and the incredible science behind all of their products. In lab studies, they've measured a 130% increase in collagen production with their OS1 eye cream. And another study showed that their SPF neutralizes free radicals. Those are those bad guy compounds that I always talk about, 4 times more effectively than other so-called anti-aging sunscreens. The proof is in the numbers, friends. Try OneSkin and see for yourself. And you can get 15% off your first order with the code KERI, that's KERI, at oneskin.co/Keri. That's oneskin.co/Keri.